Well, hello everyone. My name is Moyo Mamora, and I will be speaking to you today about investment fundamentals and just general ideas on wealth creation. So to get started today, let's just think through some basic framework on financial management and just wealth creation in general. As I've studied this idea and researched different topics and looked at different people who have had good results in their life and also think through what has worked for me as a person, one consistent theme is that you can see that every idea can be broken down into a few pillars. The first one being, first of all, you have to get the income to come your way. You have to get money flowing in your direction. The second meaning you have to manage the money that is coming into your possession. And the third being you have to learn how to grow and multiply that money that is coming towards you. And the last one, which I like to emphasize on, is you have to learn how to give some of this money and this wealth that you have created for yourself. Now, let's dive into each one of these categories and each one of these pillars. The first one being attracting money to yourself. If you think through what that means, there are basic models by which you can actually get money flowing in your direction. Number one is you can exchange your time for money. Number two is you can exchange money for money. This is the idea on investing. The first one being exchanging time for money is what it means to be an employee, which is what a lot of people do and a lot of people think about. The third is you can exchange your money and your time for other people's time. And that is the concept of entrepreneurship, starting out a business. So everything follows this basic model, for the most part follows this basic model, right? Now, the next thing you also have to think and keep in mind is this fact that money always flows in the direction of value. Money flows in the direction of value. So if I create value, then I have to sell that value. And the art of selling is being able to communicate that I have this value to a market. And then through pricing, I can capture some of this value and then income flows in my direction. So think about the first model that I gave you, which is about trading your time for money. You are the product. Your problem-solving abilities is the product, your skill sets, your talents, and you have to sell that to an organization. And that organization hires you, you solve problems for them, and then they begin to pay you a salary. And if you think about what that salary is your price based on the problems that you're solving. So if you think about what we've said about money flowing in the direction of value, if I would want to increase my income, then what I have to do is that I have to upskill, increase my ability, and then I have to start solving bigger problems in my organization. So when I upskill, reskill, learn new skills, develop myself, and start solving bigger problems, I then have to sell the fact that I can do this to the stakeholders in that organization. And I sell them on this fact, then maybe they give me a new job, maybe they give me a promotion or something like that. So then I start earning more money, right? The problem with that, though, is that you would find in an organization, they can only pay you up until the constraints of that organization. So no matter how much value you create as an employee, you can only earn so much, right? And a lot of what we're going to be talking about in this session is about how can we do and take what we're earning as an employee and actually use that to create wealth, right? While I'm learning, you see, because it's not altogether a bad thing to be working for someone, because you're actually refining your abilities, you're refining your skills. The alternative is that you can go out into a marketplace, right? It's a broad marketplace. There are no inhibitions, there are no limits. You go out there and you actually start communicating your values to that market, and you capture that value that you have created for people, the problems that you have solved for them, and then money begins to flow in your direction, right? And all of this is relevant, right? Because even if you're an employee right now, you're building skill sets, you're training yourself, you're refining those abilities. And at some point in time, and maybe that's something you might be doing on the side, but at some point in time, you're able to go out and you're actually able to start making use of these skill sets that you have to capture value and to get money to flow in your direction. Now, the next side of what we talked about, or the next pillar, is learning how to manage the funds that are coming into your possession, right? And this is where the ideas of budgeting actually come into play, right? You see, because you think about a budget, you're saying, here's how much I'm earning, here's how much I'm spending, and you're given a name, quote and unquote, for every dollar that you're earning, right? And pardon me over here, I'm speaking in dollar terms because I live in the United States, and this is my context, and so I'm thinking in dollars. But don't let that distract you from anything that I'm saying, because no matter where you might be, the principle still applies, and you might as well start thinking in dollars because the dollar is a global currency anyway. So, but for me, when I think about being able to manage the funds that are coming through, I think about accountability, right? And that's what management is all about, is I'm holding every resource accountable to what it's supposed to do. So you think about the income that you're earning. Are you holding that income accountable to what it's supposed to be doing? So you think through that. And if you break that down a little further, you would see that there are a few major buckets that people allocate income to. So you have your basic necessary expenses. These are expenses that would cover things like your feeding, your shelter, your clothes on your back, everything that you need to survive and to continue to do what you need to do and function in society. Then you'd also have another category, which would be your discretionary spending. So this is money that you would spend to entertain yourself, go out on a date, buy gifts for people, etc. Then you have another category for money that you'd invest. That's your excess. And then you also have a category for benevolence and for giving. Very important. I always want to make sure that people are actually making a budget for their giving as well. Now, how you allocate the funds in all these different categories is really up to you. It's really your decision. Now, some people feel like they need all these different things, so they have a huge bucket for their basic necessities. But you have to ask yourself the honest question: do you really need that extra data plan? Do you really need that fancy phone? Do you really need to pay so much in rent? Do you really need to pay so much for that car? Do you need to pay for all these streaming services that you have, your Netflix, your Hulu, your Amazon Prime, Disney Plus? Do you really need all of that, or do you just need one? Or maybe you don't even need any of those things at all. Now, it's up to you, because where you squeeze, you actually create. You see, because the money that you're getting is somewhat finite, right? And when you save in one category, you can move it into a different category, right? You also ask yourself the question about your discretionary expenses. Do you really need to spend so much on food? Do you really need to order so much food from the outside? Can you cook it yourself? Do you really need to buy that expensive gift for that person? Do you need to do all of these things? These are discretionary, so you actually have a whole lot more control there. So it's not really a need at this point, it's a want. It's a what would you like? And can you shift your mindset there? Because if you can squeeze on those first two categories, right, what you think of as your basic necessities and what you think of as your discretionary, and actually move some of that money into your investment bucket, then you can actually start growing wealth and start creating wealth. And you also have more to give to other people. You see, one of the things that I tell people, and one of the things that I've found about everyone who has been able to create wealth, is this idea of being obsessed with investing, obsessed with putting your money to work. See, because that's really the only way you're actually going to be able to create real lasting wealth for yourself and for your generation after you. Now, in your investment category, the more you focus on that, the more you nurture that, you actually see that grow. And then you have your giving category. So you have to make the call as to how much money, as it's coming in, as I'm earning the income, as I'm creating value, and as it's flowing in my direction, how much am I putting in all these different categories? Now, let's move into the investment pillar, right, that we talked about in wealth creation, which is really about growing the money that you have coming your way. Now, think about what it means to grow, right? What it means to grow is that you plant something, you nurture it, you water it, you feed it, and after it starts producing fruit for you. So you think about an apple tree, or right, you plant an apple seed in the ground, and then you have an apple orchard, and it's producing apples for you that you can eat. But you started with one seed, but now you have many apples. That's essentially what an investment is like. That's essentially what investing in a business, in a venture is like. Is I take the money that is coming in, I'm holding that fund accountable. I know what exactly it's supposed to do. It's become excess, but I'm not just spending it on discretionary things. I'm actually holding it accountable. I am putting that in the ground and I'm planting it. I'm depriving myself of the benefit of that dollar that is coming in today so that I can have a few more dollars in the future. Think about that. I am depriving myself of the benefit of that dollar today so that I can have fruits I can have it multiply and grow into the future. So you have a growth mindset, you have a nurturing mindset for that dollar that you have allocated to your investment bucket. And it means that you have to feed it. It means that you have to nurture it. It means that you have to plant it. You're not going to derive any benefit from that today. And that's how you think about an investment, and then that investment grows. And then the last bucket, like I told you, is about your giving bucket. Now, this is very, very important, because I like to tell people that the wealth that you create for yourself is just a means, for you to, or let me put it this way: think about the money as a tool. It's a tool to help you to actually do what really matters to you. It's a tool to help you fulfill your calling and your purpose in life. And in addition to that, you have to use money to be a blessing unto other people. And this is spiritual intelligence, is that I'm not looking at money just based on the finite concept of resources that are available on earth today. But I'm saying to myself, I'm thinking beyond myself. I'm thinking about other people that I can help, that I can be a blessing to, that I can use to improve. I'm using money as a tool to improve the lives of the community and the people that are around me. And as a result of that, I'm implicitly saying to myself that there's a whole lot more from where that came from. There's a whole lot more from where that came from. And once I do that, and once I have this abundance mindset, is what giving really does for you. It helps you create an abundant mindset. Once I start doing that, it actually opens my mind up and my heart up, so I can receive some of these ideas, right, that can actually help me multiply and actually help me increase and actually help me grow my income. So very, very important to make sure you master the art of giving, understand how to give, understand that life is beyond yourself, and how I can use money to actually create opportunities and create options for myself, so that I can pursue the things that really matter to me. Now, as I begin to wrap this particular video up, I just want to ask you to do something, because before we dive into the concept of investing and the fundamentals around investing, you have to have a goal. You have to say to yourself that, okay, here's where I'm at today. Where do I want to be in 5 years? Where do I want to be in 10 years? Where do I want to be financially in 25 years? Be very clear about what that end is, right? Write a number down. Think about what you're earning today. How can I earn differently? How can I increase, the value that I'm creating, so I can earn more, right? Because once you have a goal, you have to also create the steps to actually get to that goal. So how can I earn more? How do I need to be a better manager, a better steward of the resources that I have that are coming my way? What investment decisions do I need to be making right now? What given decisions do I need to be making right now, so that I can trigger this idea of spiritual abundance, so I can continue to prosper and actually grow my net worth? As you do that, the next thing I want to ask you to think about and to be really critical about yourself on, or said differently, to examine yourself about, is what is my thinking and what's the mindset that I have concerning money. See, one of the things that I have found out is that it doesn't matter how much you are taught about money. If you think in a wrong way concerning money, it doesn't matter what you get, you're going to lose it all. So all the tactics that are out there, those are like external things, right? You save, you invest, you earn more, etc. But if deep on the inside of you, you don't have a wealth consciousness, or you don't have an abundance consciousness, it really doesn't matter, right? Because you might get $1 million today, but if you don't have this growth, abundance consciousness, or the right attitude about money, you're just going to find out that all of that $1 million is going to dissipate at some point in time. So a few questions. Think about it. When you hear money, when you hear wealth, what automatically comes to your mind? Are these limiting thoughts? Maybe you've heard people say to you as you were growing up that, money doesn't grow on trees. Money is very difficult to come by. Oh man, it's so stressful to try to get money. Or you hear things like, money is the root of all evil. Oh man, rich people are proud people, and I don't want to be a proud person. See, if you have all of these negative thoughts about money, you're essentially going to be saying to yourself that I don't want to be that guy, or I don't want to be that girl. I don't want to be that person who's proud. I just don't want to be that person who's stressed out because of money. I just don't want to be this evil person. You see, because the reality is money is it's neutral. It doesn't have any personality and just takes on the personality of the person who holds it. So if you're a good person and you have a lot of money, it just means that you're going to amplify the good that you can do in the world. If you're a bad person and a crappy person, nasty attitude, and you have a lot of money, then it's just going to amplify all of that nastiness in the world. And that's not who you want to be. That's not what you want to be all about, right? Now, you might, on the flip side, you have to start taking empowering thoughts about money. So when you hear money, you're not thinking YOLO, I'm going to spend it all, I'm going to make myself happy. You start thinking about the fact that, you know what, money is a tool. Money creates options. Money helps me to fulfill the purpose that God has called me to fulfill in my life. Money actually helps me to do the good that I intend to do. Money helps me to empower other people, right? Money helps me to enjoy my life, right? Money is not difficult to come by. As I think about money, I have to be creating value. I have to be communicating value. I have to be solving the problems of people out there. If you have this mindset, this empowering mindset about money, then you're actually on the track to actually start creating wealth. So examine yourself, do this exercise, and once you start picking up on some of these negative thoughts that you have to start replacing them with positive thoughts. Start finding out what made me think this way. Critique it. Is this really true? I hold this belief. It's negative. It's pulling me down. It's holding me back from being everything that I can be, from earning as much as I can earn. Well, maybe I need to reprogram myself by affirmations, keeping positive thoughts around money, of money around me, reading the right books, talking to the right people, having the right types of conversation, and regulating my self-talk internally and saying the right things to myself about money. You do these things and you begin to set yourself on the right path to begin to create wealth for your life. I'm going to stop here for now, and in the next session, I'm going to be talking about delving deeper into the mindset of investing and money and how you should be thinking about wealth creation.